Let's start out by applying some expressions to a project. So, as always, we'll navigate to Chapter 4 and then click on the file called number 4, Expressions. We've already used some specific expressions, but why do they work? Let's take a look with this very simple project called Expression Car. Here we've got a 3D car. By typing C on the keyboard, we can navigate the camera around the car so that we can see how these objects come together to create this car shape. Down in the timeline, we can see very clearly that there's one wheel in the front, a second wheel in the back on the left-hand side, the flat body of the car, the upright portion of the car, and the fin on the tail of the car. All of these pieces are linked together, then parented to the car's body center. What we want to do is set up a very basic expression linking all of the wheels to one target wheel. To do this, we'll use wheel 1 as the target for our expression. We'll select wheel 2. This is the layer that we're going to add the expression to so that it looks at wheel 1 for cues on how to animate. Expressions drive values, and most of the parameters that can accept keyframes can have expressions to drive their specific values. Here, under wheel 2, we'll open up the rotation parameters, then select the Z rotation to add an expression to. Once we have the parameter selected, we can go up to the word animation and pull that down to reveal the Add Expression function here in the menu. You can also see that Alt-Shift and the equal sign will allow you to add an expression to any selected parameter. On a Mac, you'll use Command-Shift and equals. There's actually an easier way than using either one of these. In the timeline, with the parameter selected, we can go over to the stopwatch. We know that by clicking on the stopwatch, we add an animation track and activate this parameter for keyframes. If we use the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac and click on the stopwatch, we'll pull up a dialog box allowing us to input an expression value. The expression is actually a small piece of JavaScript. The JavaScript is no more than a simple language that tells the parameter what to do. Underneath every function in After Effects is a piece of code telling After Effects what it should do when that parameter is changed. Here inside the JavaScript we're looking at, the text tells the Z rotation underneath the transformation of this layer to do what it does. By adding the expression, we haven't modified the text telling After Effects to do anything different than it already is doing. All we're doing is activating the expression for this parameter. If we modify this text, we then modify what this parameter will do. We'll use Enter on the number pad to accept the Add Expression command, and now we can see next to the parameter that the values are highlighted in red rather than in blue. What this means is that the parameter is now controlled by an expression rather than by the value that we've input. However, under this current configuration, our expression is merely telling the Z rotation to do what it does. So any modification here is going to show up as an expressed value. We'll change this back to 0 and use Enter on the keyboard. Select wheel 1 and open up the rotation values for wheel 1 as well. I'll scroll down just a bit so I can see both the rotation value for wheel 2 and the Z rotation for wheel 1. If we look at the Z rotation for wheel 1, we see that there's already an animation set up from 0 rotations at frame 0 to 20 rotations at 1 frame just beyond the last frame in our animation. Here at the end of the animation, you'll see that the keyframe has been pushed 1 frame beyond the last frame inside this comp. This will produce a nice looping animation if we need this wheel to continue over and over and over. Inside wheel 2, we could type out a very complex JavaScript telling wheel 2 to follow the rotations of wheel 1, but we don't need to do that. After Effects has provided a simple solution.